Let me speak to that.
Okay.
Right now, we have a global situation where a lot of Africans, men and women, are dating outside of their race because they believe we live in a post-racial society. Understand the 4 stages of white supremacy. First, white supremacy establishes itself. White supremacy then maintains itself. White supremacy then expands itself. And then white supremacy refines itself. We are in the stage of refinement. Refinement means that white supremacy has perfected the art of not looking like white supremacy. For example, you see a lot of African men marrying outside of their race all across the world, but they fail to recognize that the woman they're marrying, who's normally a white woman, belongs to the global white supremacist order. So although he's the husband and she's the wife, she still has the power. At any point in that relationship, she could pick up a telephone, accuse him of a particular crime, and regardless of whether he committed it or not, his whole life would be changed. Furthermore, we have to recognize that women live longer than men. So if I, as an African man, marry a European woman or a Chinese woman or an East Indian woman or an Arab woman, whatever wealth I accumulated in my life, when I die, my wealth goes over to the woman of that race. We need that money to build the institutions and industries. So how does a black man with full consciousness who claims to be loyal to his mother and loyal to his people marry a woman who is not in the image of his mother, whom he knows after he dies is going to take his resources and give them to her race, not his? Marrying outside of your race for an African man anywhere on earth is one of the greatest acts of racial betrayal, treason, and treachery. It is absolutely intolerable and disrespectful to black women. With so few black women finding husbands, how do you find it within your soul to marry somebody else's daughter who you know is only eloping with you because you have education, income, economics, privilege, position, or property? These women are not marrying poor black men. They're marrying well-educated black men on purpose. It has nothing to do with love. If it was about love, why can't we find rich East Indian women, rich Chinese women, rich white women marrying poor black men? Why is it always well-educated and stable black men marrying poor white women, Chinese women, or East Indian women? In Africa right now, we have a situation in Nigeria where African women are marrying Chinese men. Chinese men are exploiting these women's desire to marry outside of their race and hopefully improve their economic stability. So sisters are reaching out for the Chinese men because they're poor. And when they see the Chinese face, they assume that all of them are wealthy, which is not true. In fact, most of the Chinese coming into Africa are coming there poor, but they become rich off of us. And so what's going to happen is history is going to repeat itself. These Chinese men are going to have babies with our African sisters, and those babies will be 100% citizens of the nation of Nigeria and other nations where this is taking place, because Nigeria is not the only one. So the children, the biracial Chinese African children, will be 100% citizens of Nigeria, but they will be raised by their Chinese fathers to be loyal to the mother country of China. So these African Chinese will be African in body, but Chinese in mind. And they're going to use the next generation of African Chinese interracial babies to reconquer the entire West Africa because of our hatred for ourselves. This has happened before. The East Indians did it in South Africa. The Arabs did it in East Africa. This has happened before. The white man did it all throughout Africa, mixing with our children and using the babies, the biracial offspring, the psychologically confused offspring, to work in the interest of the country that rules. And so they're going to use those children to serve China, serve India, serve Europe. They look black, but their minds will be psychologically engineered by that other non-African parent to work against the best interests of our mother country. I am totally 100%, as the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said, we are against interracial dating. The only marriage I respect is a black man with a black woman. I do not respect a black man with a white woman, a black woman with a white man, or any other race. including a black woman with a black woman or a black man with a black man. I don't do that nonsense either. The only African marriage is the traditional African marriage, and that's a black man with an African woman.
Fantastic.